get started.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Michael Patterson. I am the Family Caregiver Specialist for the Kerr-Tar Area Agency on Aging, as well as a life coach. Okay? And so this morning, I came to talk to you guys about self-care. I know you guys just finished up a great class.
Yep.
That is an excellent self-care tool, so kudos to you guys. Okay? And so, before we get started, I would like you to participate with me in a quick breathing exercise. Okay? So, just right where you are, I want you to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Do that again. Breathe in, breathe out. One more. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. Thank you. That made me feel a lot better. All right. So just breathing is such a beautiful self-care tool. Yes, ma'am. And so today, I think everybody got a form. I'll give my topic. But today we're going to talk about self-care. We're going to talk about what is self-care, why it's important, and then we're going to talk about some strategies so that we can create our own self-care plans. Okay? And so first, we ask, what is self-care? Okay? So I'm going to ask you, tell me some ideas of what you guys think of self-care.
Spending time in nature.
Spending time with nature.
Exercise, of course.
Exercise, yes ma'am.
Just taking care of yourself, or otherwise you can't help other people. If you don't take care of
Absolutely.
yourself, you're not gonna be much good to anybody.
Correct. Anyone else? Yes,
Getting
ma'am.
out of bed daily and
I
not
know that's
laying in
right.
bed all day.
Yes ma'am.
And keeping your living space neat and tidy.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. Absolutely.
And doing mental exercises like crossword puzzles. I love to do crossword puzzles. Reading.
Excellent, excellent. Absolutely. Yes
Having
ma'am.
a proper diet.
Yes, yes, proper diet. Absolutely, absolutely.
Coming up here and exercising and interacting with people.
Yes, yes, socialization is a big one, okay? And so I'm glad that you guys understand self-care is so vast. You know, sometimes when people hear self-care, they think about going to the spa and getting massages and,
Well, that's nice.
you know, and that is self-care as well, right?
But it's not realistic to do it all the time.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's not as realistic for most folks, right? And most folks think that that is self-care and don't think about the little things like exercising or eating well or getting rest or socializing. And those things are just as vital for your self-care as going to the spa or getting massages, things of that nature, right? And so part of why self-care is so important is self-care is the opportunity to be intentional about taking care of yourself, right? And it's important to take care of yourself so that you can be at your best for others around you, right? So how many of you have had a night where you didn't sleep very well, and then the next morning you go to work or somewhere where you're around other folks, and you didn't sleep well, so you're not 100% at your best, right? Do you notice sometimes you can be a little snappy, maybe not as patient or give as much grace as you normally do if you had a full night's rest, right? And so self-care is kind of the same thing. When you don't take that intentional time to take care of yourself, you could get into a situation where it's almost like a buildup of neglecting yourself, okay? So sometimes you're not always in the best moods, you're not always feeling at your best, And that impacts the others around you, not just yourself, right? Because now, when the grandkids are around or someone else is around and they may say, ooh, grandpa or grandma, they snappy today. Grandpa's mean, right? Cranky, right? And so, sometimes neglecting that self-care can not only impact yourself, but those around you, right? And so when we take care of ourselves, we're getting our rest, we're eating well, we're doing the things that we need to do for our self-care, then we can be at our best to be able to help others, especially if you're a caregiver, right? Because caregiving is a whole nother journey in itself, right? And if you're a caregiver and you're neglecting your self-care, right, it impacts you, it impacts the person that you're living with and taking care of, and it can lead to other situations, other challenges down the road. Okay?
Michael, I might add, you need to maintain good self-care, because if you're in a situation like I was for years, I was a nurse and I worked the night shift. If I didn't get enough rest and a good diet, I didn't amount to anything at night. I was cranky and ornery, and I knew it, and I felt badly for the people I was serving. But I knew the next day it was go home and get a good breakfast, get a good nap, and then when I got up, fix another good meal, and then I'd be ready to go to work and be reasonable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing that you mentioned that's also important is the awareness of knowing that you need self-care, right? Because so many times we're going the way society and things are set up, everything is fast-paced, you know, instant gratification. We want it now. We don't want to wait, right? Or things need to be done now. Everything always seems to be a code 10 emergency, right? Where usually you probably you'll be okay if you don't make it to the grocery store today, or, you know, don't get a chance to make it to class or what have you, right on time, with things of that nature. So a lot of things play into the awareness of needing self-care, okay? And so with that being said, a lot of people always ask, okay, I know the importance of self-care. I know that I need it, not only for my health, but for the benefit of others around me. But I'm not sure how to start, okay? So one thing is, number one, you're already here at the senior center, okay? And so give yourself a golf clap, because you've already have made an intentional choice today to be here, okay, to enjoy some self-care, okay? Whether you participated in a class or not, sometimes just getting out and getting in an environment where you can be with others, be with your peers. Young lady mentioned socialization is just as important for self-care as eating well or getting rest. Okay? And so
Michael, you
yes,
mentioned
ma'am.
being with others. A lot of times, people will say that trying to do like exercise at home or whatever by themselves, you know, you tend to slack off. Yeah, I won't do it today. You know, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. But if you're among a group or whatever and it's structured, you're more apt to show up
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I'm
Make
not
sure you
good.
do it.
I'm not a morning person. I just hate getting out of bed early in the morning. But you know, it gets you motivated.
Yes, absolutely. And so, what I want to do now is there are usually 5 categories of self-care that I want to talk about today. Because like I said, self-care is so vast, right? It means so many different things. And when we talk about getting started with having self-care for ourselves, sometimes with it being such a broad word and a broad topic, it's kind of hard to kind of narrow down how to start, where to start, what to start with, Okay? So we're gonna narrow it down to 5 categories of self-care. Okay? Number 1, you have physical self-care. Okay? Physical self-care. Okay. Alex, can I use you for a second?
Yes.
There's another V. I wasn't sure I was gonna have enough books to give to everybody, but now that I did a mental count in my head, I got enough books, so I'm gonna hand out some notebooks so you guys can take notes. Cause I don't know if you're like me, I'm a note taker.
Where's your pen?
I'm always taking notes. The pen is
It's
in the
very
book.
nice.
Oh,
They're very nice
So the book will
notebooks.
have a pen in it, it'll have the paper, we're gonna hand those out. Huh?
You got a piece of paper, you don't have something to write with.
There's a pen in there.
one of my favorite colors.
Yes.
Wow. This is sort of like- Yes.
Very nice.
If you didn't get one, I apologize, and I'll bring you back one, I promise.
I didn't get one. I want to make sure.
And so, now that we have our notebooks and we can take notes now, we're gonna start with physical self-care. Okay? Can anyone tell me what they think physical self-care is?
Exercising.
Exercising, absolutely. What else?
Just like getting up and getting a bath and washing your, you know, just physical, taking care of yourself,
Mhm.
bathing.
So hygiene. So,
Making your doctor's appointment, make sure you go to the doctor.
doctor's appointment, yes. And that's one of my favorites. And the others?
Sleep.
Sleep, absolutely. And the others? Eating well, that was mentioned earlier. And so, physical self-care deals with the physical, okay? One of the reasons why there's different categories of self-care, and then we're gonna go over today, is because sometimes there's different reasons for different needs of self-care, okay? And so the next one we're gonna go over is mental. No, white terrible, don't look at me. Okay. Can anyone give me any examples of mental self-care?
Stress. That would be physical too.
Stress is what happens with neglect of self-care. So a mental self-care tool would be
Like doing
Reading.
doing a crossword puzzle.
crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh, self-care, I'm sorry.
Crossword puzzle, reading.
Mhm.
Can anybody think of any others?
Get out of the house.
Get away, remove yourself from whatever's bothering you.
Walk is actually
It's physical, but it's also mental. If you've heard the phone and nothing but scam calls.
absolutely.
Turn it off.
I do.
And we'll see that some of these self-care tools will merge into others. Okay? One of my favorite mental is journaling, writing. I love to write, even though my handwriting doesn't say it, but.
Just calling a friend, talking to a friend.
Calling a friend is actually gonna fall in the next category we're gonna go into right now, which is social and emotional self-care. Calling a friend. Can anyone else think of a social or
Photography.
emotional? Huh?
Photography, taking pictures.
Photography. That's a little bit more mental, but that's still a really good one.
And social.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the ones that, like I said, there's a couple ones that are gonna be able to cross into multiple categories.
For the emotional, getting out of the house and interacting with others.
Absolutely, absolutely. Interacting with others.
Which category did you think respect would fall under? Cause you have to respect yourself before you can do any of this stuff.
I think respect is
Maybe spiritual.
another broad one that can go into multiple categories, right? Because respect can mean, and you can earn respect in multiple different ways, right?
But you know, a lot of people don't respect themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
So if you don't respect yourself, how will you respect other people?
absolutely.
I kind of look at that as a spiritual thing about yourself and how you feel about yourself.
Mhm. And that is actually the next category
How about dancing?
is spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing is physical.
And social.
And listening to
social.
music?
I just threw a couple of them under there. But yeah, dancing, again, is another one that can go in multiple different categories, you know, because dancing could be social, dancing with people, physical, because you're sweating, you're cutting the rug, right? Mental, you know, you listen to music, you're feeling good, right? So again, there's some self-care tools that go through multiple ones, right? And so then my last one I'm gonna put down here, whoops. It's a little two-sided. It's fancy over here, I don't got that. And work self-care. Can anyone give me some self-care tools for work?
Yeah, we tried to quit that.
Yeah, see, and I love it because a lot of you are retired, you ain't thought about work in a while, okay? But I know Alex has one.
So I just know, like some of my friends, they'll bring work home or they'll stay. I know one person, she said she went in the office at 1 o'clock in the morning. So setting boundaries.
Yes, thank you. Setting boundaries.
She was
Okay.
like, well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and nobody's there. And I'm like, well, why would you
Well,
do
what
that?
did you expect?
What you wanna know about work?
What's
How is
that?
it self-care?
Work, yeah, part of work is self-care,
Uh,
absolutely.
so the question is, what,
What self-care tools could you use for work?
Oh, yes.
So setting boundaries, taking breaks,
Making
okay?
sure you get your lunch break and not working through.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, declutter.
Well,
Not just move it from one side or the other.
That could be at the house.
delegate.
That's what I'm saying.
delegate.
That's good.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say teamwork and networking, but delegate.
Absolutely.
And I had a plaque at my desk that was desk yoga.
Yes.
So when I was so stressed out, you know, I could just stop and go through those steps.
Exactly. And that's part of just taking that break. You know, kind of stepping away sometimes, right?
Learning to say no.
Learning to say no. Yes. And again, that's something that crosses beyond work.
Yep, every day.
Okay. And so, as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can do for self-care, right? And so, sometimes, like we mentioned with dance, it goes into multiple categories, things of that nature, right? But we have these categories because sometimes we're dealing with situations that impact us differently. Maybe we're going through a situation and we're really stressed out, right? We're really in our heads about what's taking place or what have you. And so you may feel like, you know what? I'm a little stressed out. I need to clear my head. I'm gonna go exercise, right? Exercise is more of a physical self-care, right? So you go in there, you exercise, then you come back and you feel good physically, but you still got stuff on your mind. It's still there, it's still kind of hanging around you like, man, okay, well, exercise didn't work today, so I'll just try something different. Well, I'll exercise again tomorrow.
I was gonna say, I used to, when I was working, my big philosophy was, is it really gonna make that big a difference in 5 years? If it is, then I need to work on it. If not, I'm not gonna let it stress me out, because in 5 years, usually in a month, everybody's gonna remember what happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so sometimes when you're dealing with stress, anxiety, whatever the case may be, maybe it's not a physical stress that you're experiencing. So exercise may be helpful and beneficial, but if you need to clear your mind, then matching how you're feeling with a tool that falls in that category. So sometimes if you're stressed mentally, maybe writing down how you're feeling, what's taking place, will be a better self-care option for you than going and exercising.
Or
right?
talking to somebody.
Talking to somebody could be another one. But again, it comes back to awareness, knowing how you're feeling. Why are you feeling this way? Is it a physical stress that you're going through? You know, are you having achy joints, shoulders bothering you today, knee, something like that, right? So maybe those are the days where, yeah, I am gonna go in there and exercise, you know, maybe not doing anything hard or crazy, but something to loosen up those joints, make my body feel better, right?
But now, sorry to interrupt, but nowadays you don't hear too much about stress. You hear depression.
Mm-hmm.
What depression then you hear people being stressed.
Stress traditionally leads to depression. And the thing is, when people don't address the stresses that they have, it's a buildup that leads to a depressed state, which is why self-care is so important, right? And that's why we're talking today about strategies on how to increase our self-care so that we don't get so stressed out.
Michael, I just thought about one for mental therapy.
Absolutely.
Therapy.
Therapy. Yes, ma'am.
And some people, I don't know, in some communities or cultures, they kind of shy away from therapy because they think, people might think, oh, what's wrong with them? They have to see a therapist, but it's good, it helps you to work out some of those problems.
Yes, absolutely. Therapy definitely does sometimes hold a stigma in certain communities. But I think with the pandemic taking place, I think that really opened people's eyes to see the importance of self-care, the importance of mental health and therapy, right? Because when basically the world shut down, you know, and we were isolated, those things that we didn't really have time to address when we were going, you know, kind of stopped us, and we start to understand, like, hey, mental health is important, you know. Talking to someone, having therapy is important. Self-care is important. And these are things that we should address every day so that we don't have a buildup of daily stress that leads to depressive states.
So you can also put under mental meditation.
Yes, meditation can go under mental, meditation can go under spiritual, right? So again, a lot of different options that we can use, okay? And so, when we start talking about creating a self-care plan, right? If you look at the bottom of our page, right, we went over the types of self-care. And at the bottom of the page, I put down 5 strategies to help you create your self-care plan, right? The number one thing I always tell people when we're talking about creating a self-care plan is you want to do something that you love to do, okay? So many people think sometimes self-care is, well, I have to wash the dishes, I have to do the laundry, the floors need to be mopped, and all that stuff may very well be true, right? But that is not something that is providing you with self-care, okay? That's you taking care of maybe your daily responsibilities, you know, but that's really not a self-care. Self-care is something that you are intentionally doing for you, for yourself, okay? So it should be something that you love, because that's that time you're taking off of self-care, you should be excited about that, right? You shouldn't dread self-care, right? Because that's not doing anything but adding to the stress. We want to remove the stress, right?
Michael, I found one of the biggest things outside of the church and my faith that has given me an increase in the need for and happiness in providing for myself self-care is a little cat that came as a stray. And she lets me know when she's hungry, when she wants affection, when she doesn't want anything to do with me. She lets me know if she's cold and she needs an Afghan underneath her. I mean, she tells me in her own little way all these things, and she won't let me go until I provide them for her. And then when I can see her be happy and content, it's like, well, this worked this time. And I realize it will work again.
Absolutely.
You know, just taking care of a pet. They care, but they also are a great source of comfort and companionship and affection.
Absolutely. Pets are fantastic. If you have that option, whether it's a dog or a cat.
But you're back up interacting with something.
Absolutely. Having that engagement with another person or a thing is very helpful, right? So you want to do something that you love, okay? The second thing is you want to make a list of those things, which we started to do today, right? So when you're thinking about self-care, create a list of your own, right? Because sometimes, you know, we don't always remember or have things fresh on our mind, but if we could create a list of options that we enjoy, that we like to do, when we need that self-care, we could take a look at our list and pick something off of our list to do, right? Okay, the third one is listening to your body, okay? That comes with awareness, you know? Knowing when you're feeling agitated or when you may not be feeling at your best, and then recognizing where it's coming from. You know, is it a physical ailment? Is it a mental or emotional ailment, right? And sometimes those things take time, but the more you practice it, the better you'll get at knowing how you feel and being aware of your body, okay? Another thing with self-care is to be flexible, right? Sometimes we have great intentions. On Monday, I'm going to the movies, it's gonna be a great show, I can't wait. And then Monday comes and it's raining outside, or, you know, we're in North Carolina, so it might be snowing in the morning and then 70 degrees in the afternoon, you know, so it's all over the place. And it can kind of mess up your plans, right? And then some of us, sometimes when our plans get messed up, we're like, oh man. And we just, oh, never mind, just whatever, I'm done with it, right?
The best thing that can happen at that point is to have a friend call and say, let's go have lunch, or let's go shopping, or let's go do something.
Absolutely,
And all of a
absolutely.
sudden, it sounds like the most fantastic idea. Why didn't I think of that? Well, and so you
Absolutely.
go and have a
And
good
so
time.
sometimes when you have something planned and it doesn't go as planned,
Yeah.
sometimes just redirecting, okay? Maybe you wanted to go to the movies that day, things happen. So now, instead of going to the movies, how about tonight I just watch my favorite sitcom? You know, I'll go home, I'll watch my favorite show on Netflix today. I didn't get to the movies, but I can watch this show. Or, I didn't get to the movies, hey, I'll make it to the senior center. They got an African drum and dance class. You know, I'll make it there instead of the theater. So just being flexible, okay? And don't get so stuck on one thing that you want to do and then it doesn't happen and you just throw it all away, okay? Be flexible to kind of change it up a little bit.
I learned a long time ago, don't plan anything, just do it.
Yep,
You're better
you can do that as well. Absolutely. If you are wired that way, not everyone's gonna be wired that way.
You know, life can get ahead of you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Life happens.
Yes. And then when you talk about self-care, start small. Okay? Sometimes we want to go to the movies, yes, we want to do certain things, but those are time consuming. Like I mentioned, if we're a caregiver, sometimes our time is short. You know, so maybe you look at your current daily schedule and you know it's only got about maybe 10 minutes on a Wednesday. Guess what? That 10 minutes on a Wednesday can make or break your week, okay? So take that 10 minutes of time and use it for your self-care time, right? So you can be flexible with it. It doesn't have to be, you know, this big planned out, extravagant event of self-care. It could just be something as simple as like we did this morning. Breathe in and breathe out. Because sometimes all we need is a pause, right? Because sometimes what happens when we get in stressful situations, cortisol runs into our brain, right? Cortisol is a hormone our body produces, right? And you heard fight or flight, right? So when we are in stressful situations, our amygdala, which is in our brain, will sometimes pop up for that fright situation or that flight. So cortisol flows into our head, and then when that happens, sometimes we're not always thinking clearly, right? And that's when you pause, take them deep breaths in, exhale loud a couple times, that cortisol comes out of the brain, and then we can think a little bit clearly and figure out, okay, what's my next move? Or what do I need to do, okay? So sometimes just something as small as just pausing for a breath is important self-care.
Oh, I was thinking about when you said start small. I know with Joyce's exercise class, especially with new members, you know, she'll tell them, you know, well, we're gonna do 10 of these, but if you can only do 5, then you do 5, you know, just do it in increments.
Absolutely, Absolutely. And it builds up over time.
Right.
And that's the same thing with the self-care. You know, you might start off maybe 5 minutes here and there, and then eventually you can lead up to more. Okay? And so, on the back of our sheet is our action plan. Okay, so we are going to put together a self-care plan right here together.
Oh, my.
Okay? And so as you can see on my action plan, I have it written right here at the top. Your action plan is going to include what you're going to do, how much you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how often. Okay? And I set up this action plan this way because we want to create SMART goals. Okay? And so this action plan here is going to give us a goal that is specific, that we can see, have we completed it, have we not completed it? Because so many times we'll say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do self-care, and we may or may not have done it, right? And sometimes we don't have no way of measuring it. Well, this form here is gonna give us an opportunity for that, okay? And so, the example I have here is this week I will read a favorite book for a half hour in the mid-afternoon with my spouse, when my spouse sleeps, 3 times this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, okay? So to give a better example, I'm gonna give you my self-care plan for this week, or one of my self-care plans, because I have multiple, okay? And so, this week I heard that the weather was going to break. I don't know if it's breaking for the good or bad, because it's wintertime, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be pretty nice this week. We're gonna be back up into the 50s, pretty sunny. We're not gonna have that cold winter weather. Even better. I mean, even though it's a little weird, you know, saying that in January it's gonna be 70 degrees, but
We'll take it.
exactly, we'll take it. So with knowing that, okay, I love to be outside, okay? And so I said, you know what, when I create my action plan today with the class, that's what I'm gonna talk about. So this week, my action plan, my what? My what is I'm going to walk in my neighborhood, okay? So I'm gonna walk in my neighborhood. That's my what? How much am I gonna walk in my neighborhood? Okay? So, my neighborhood's pretty nice. I've walked in my neighborhood many times. Okay? I'm thinking about my week this week. I have to go to Charlotte on Thursday. I was here today. So, do I feel like getting up super early? Not really. So, but I am an early riser. So I'm gonna say I'm going to walk in my neighborhood for 15 minutes. Okay? So I got those are my first 2 lines. My when. Okay? Unfortunately, the evenings are just not gonna work for me. Okay? I gotta pick up kids, take kids to volleyball, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna do my 15-minute walks in the morning. Okay? In the morning, I don't have anything going on. Walk the dog, breakfast, things of that nature, but I wake up before everybody most days anyway. Okay? And then the 4th line is how often. Okay? So today's Monday, so didn't do it today. Tomorrow's Tuesday. I think Tuesday's a good day for me. Wednesday, go to Charlotte Thursday. So, looking at my schedule, thinking about my schedule, I'm gonna walk in my neighborhood for 15 minutes in the mornings, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. But those are 3 days I know that I have at least those 15 minutes in the morning to walk. Okay? And so, those are the 4 lines that you guys are going to complete. But in addition to that, you also have a confidence scale. Okay? My confidence in completing these caregiver goals that self-care goals that I have for myself, I'm pretty confident. I'm gonna say my confidence level is a 9 out of 10. Okay? So, I'm pretty confident in this self-care plan because it's based on the time that I know that I have. Okay? It's something that I enjoy doing. You know, I love walking. It just gives me a time to just clear my mind, smell the fresh air, hear the birds. You know, if the sun's up, it's always pretty to me, regardless of it's winter, fall, leaves, no leaves, what have you. Okay? And so, this is a self-care plan that makes me happy that I know that I can complete. Okay? Now, if I got to my my confidence scale, and I was at about a 5 or 6, then maybe you might want to think about revising your self-care plan. Okay? Because you want to be at least at about a 7 or better, right? 70% is about a C, right? In school, for my school people. Average C, somewhere around there, 70%, right? So we at least want to be there when we create our plans. 70% or higher, okay? If it's below that, then maybe we need to look at it, right? Because if I said, okay, I'm going to walk in the mornings, I'm going to walk for an hour, I'm going to do it every day in the mornings. That's great. That's very aspiring of myself, but when I look at my confidence level, I'm already thinking like, well, maybe about a 5 or so, right? So if I'm feeling that way, then I need to look back at my self-care plan and say, hold up, do I really have an hour? Can I really do this every day? So you want to be realistic with your goals as well, okay? And then down at the bottom, I have my little check-off list, right? Because one thing about all of us, we are all visual creatures, right? And so sometimes when you have something like this that you can check off or write a little comment on, sometimes you're more likely to do it. Especially if you take this plan and put it on your refrigerator so that you can see it, okay? Same thing with your list. If you want to write a list of your self-care activities that you enjoy, just a list of the activities, and then put it on your refrigerator, or put it on your mirror, put it somewhere where you can see it, so that when you're having stressful situations or you need self-care, you can look at your mirror or your refrigerator and see one of your tools that you can utilize to provide yourself with self-care. Okay? And so, this action plan, okay, is something I want you guys to look over today. I'm not going to ask you to make a plan right here in front of you, all right?
Thank you.
But I will be back, okay? I will be back in a couple weeks
You want to collect it?
after class and just say, hey, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing with their self-care action plans, right? And we're all going to say, we're doing fantastic. We're doing better with our self-care. We're taking intentional time to take time out for ourselves, to really show how important our self-care is for ourselves and for others. Okay? And so I challenge you today to read over your action plan, create your list, take time to just think about self-care, okay? If I come back in a few weeks and you're like, you know what, I have not even looked at my action plan, I have not even started it, But I did think about it. You know what? That's gonna make me happy too. Because sometimes it's about sowing seeds, right? Not every plant is gonna just pop right out the ground as soon as you sow that seed. Some plants take a little bit of time before they're ready to sprout, right? And so some of our people here is gonna take this action plan, they're gonna be on it tomorrow, right? Doing it all, oh yeah. Alex, I brought her back, made me some extra copies. I wanna put one on my refrigerator, my mirror. I wanna give one to my husband, right? They're on top of it. And then some of us, like I said, they're gonna fold it up, put it in their pocket, and then maybe a week or two from now, it'll pop up on a shelf or, you know, things of that nature. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I should think about this now.
You know,
So again, give yourself grace.
The refrigerator is the last place I want to put it, cause when I'm looking at the refrigerator, you know what I'm doing? Opening that door and get some things.
Well, guess what?
Refrigerator is the last place to put it.
Have you guys seen the door first?
Yeah, I'm gonna look past it.
Maybe your self-care plan is related to the refrigerator.
I was gonna say, you need to write on there, open up refrigerator, read self-plan. Open up the refrigerator and get whatever it is.
Maybe eating well is part of your self-care plan.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe your self-care is to drink more water,
yeah.
eat more fruits and vegetables.
Keep that in the refrigerator.
That will work well in the refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
Again, so very flexible with your self-care plans. I want to just take this time to thank you for taking your time out to sit and listen to me, okay? Some of you guys have the brochures for Kerr-Tar. Please feel free to contact me anytime. I also have business cards with me. So if you would like a business card, I can give you a business card. You can contact me directly if you have more questions about self-care or if you have questions about senior resources through Kerr-Tar, okay? However I can provide assistance, I'm here for that. And I just thank you all for taking time today to let me talk to you about self-care. It's something that is very near and dear to my heart. I know how important and how well it makes me feel each and every day. And so I want to be able to share that with others so that you guys can feel great every day and live your best life possible.